Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and hope everybody's having a good day, and really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for a little bit. Got story time again. I've got a ton of requests, guys. Ever since I've tried to do like some old time stories, every once in a while on the channel, and every time I do it, people say they really like it. So I'm going to start including a few more stories about just, weird situations and fishings I've been in, and stuff that's happened over the years. So guys, I got a story today I want to tell you all about the probably the worst draw I ever had in a tournament, and the most frustrating tournament I ever had as a result of that draw that it cost me winning the tournament. I've had several like that, but this is one for the books right here. This is the top of the list I'm going to let you guys know about today. Also, guys, before we get started, I just want to let you know that right now Tackle Warehouse has got 20% off on a bunch of the different of their fishing reels. So if you guys are looking to get some reels for this spring's fishing season, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description. You can look through those reel sales out there and get you some good deals there, help the channel out at the same time. So I really appreciate that. Okay, one of the worst things about tournament fishing ever that used to be is they used to have a pro-on-pro draw, where there wasn't the co-anglers back then. Up until probably, it was right around 2000 or so, all of the Bassmaster invitationals I fished, it was a pro-on-pro. And that's how it started out. The Bassmaster tournament trail when I first started fishing was like that. And to be honest with you guys, excuse me, that was the worst thing that ever happened to tournament fishing. It's like, not just myself, I had probably at least a half a dozen tournaments where I finished like in the top 10 that I would have definitely won the tournament if I'd have just been with a co-angler. And the one I'm going to tell you about today is one of those. So that was like, if you guys have never fished a pro-on-pro deal, that was just terrible, because there are so many different things that could happen. I'll explain to you in this story. Now, I told this, I think, God, right around 4 years ago when I started my channel. I think I related this story, but that was 130,000 subscribers ago, so a lot of you guys probably haven't heard this. But we had a Bassmaster Invitational tournament down at Ross Barnett Lake. This was a long time ago. This was back in the 90s somewhere. And anyway, we had a tournament there the year before that, and I did pretty good in it. And I was fishing the mouth of this bay, or it wasn't really a creek, it was sort of like a mouth of a big bay, and it was chock full of timber. It's like there was timber standing, there was timber barely under the water. It was an absolute jungle. You could not get a boat through it at all. And so all I could do was fish the mouth of this creek, sort of on the edge of the timber, because in my bass boat, back then I had a 354 Ranger or something. I couldn't get through there. It's like the trees were too close together. There was stumps that far underwater. It was just, couldn't get a boat back there. And I looked back in there, and there was just a ton of beautiful looking water. And you could see as you got back in there, I could look up in there and I could see it was clear. And it's like, God dang, I wish I could get back in there. So anyway, couldn't get in there that year, but I wound up catching them decent. But we came back the next year, and when they announced it on the schedule, I got thinking about that. I go, I have got to figure out a way to get back in that creek. I said, there's nobody's fishing back in there. They can't get a regular boat back in there. So anyway, we had another tournament at the Connecticut River scheduled, which was a big deal about running a jet boat way up the river at Connecticut River. So I decided to make an investment, and I bought a jet boat. I bought a 17-foot Ranger it had a 60 horse jet drive on it. And I figured that, okay, I've got 2 tournaments I can use this thing in. And then, I can just have it for other tournaments maybe back in the future, because back then they allowed you to have jet drives. They didn't have the rules on it that they do now. So I bought this jet drive Ranger, and specifically for this tournament at Ross Barnett, because I knew that if I could get back into that creek back in there, there's no telling what was back in there. So anyway, make long story short, I get the boat, go down there to practice at Ross Barnett Lake, and I go back there the first day of practice, and it wasn't even easy to get that little aluminum back in there. I spent had push poles, and I push poled my way back in there. I got way back up in there, and the farther I got back in there, the clearer that got, and you had grass in the water and some logs that just looked perfect. And guys, I got back in there, and it's like immediately started whacking them. It's like they were just freaking stacked in there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a freaking too good to be true. This is a gold mine. So, you know, I fished around in there that first day of practice, and it's like it was loaded. I mean, guys, it was a tournament fisherman's dream, because I knew nobody, unless they had a jet boat, nobody was going to be back in there. These fish were unmolested. They were just aggressive. I couldn't wait to start the tournament. So I didn't go back in there the next 2 days of practice. I didn't want anyone to see me in there. So go to the meeting, the partner pairings for the first day of the tournament, you know, the night before the first day of the tournament. And I draw this guy, and I'm so excited I can't even breathe. I mean, I knew I was going to win the tournament. I said, it's just a matter in my mind, how much am I going to win it by? And I thought I was going to win the tournament by 20 pounds, because the fishing was pretty tough. I mean, it wasn't easy to catch them then. So anyway, I draw this guy. I explain the deal. I got a jet drive. We can get in there. And he's listening to me. He goes, well, I got a spot I want to try. And he goes, and I said, well, what do you got going? He goes, well, I got one spot. There's this point out there out in the middle of the lake, and I caught a 5-pounder or something. Like, he caught one fish or something. And then he goes, and I want to take my boat. That's what this guy said. And I said, look, you know, you got half the day to do what you want to. That's the rules. I said, what I'm telling you is I have got a spot that is a spot of a lifetime. This place is freaking loaded, and they're easy to catch, and nobody's fishing it. And he goes, well, whatever. He goes, I still want to take my boat. And I said, we can't get in there. I said, if we take your boat, I can't get in there to fish it. And guys, I argued with this bonehead for 30 minutes about this, about explaining to him that, yeah, if you want to hit your spot, we can go hit it in my boat, and then we can go up on my half of the day and fish these, you know, where I'm fishing at. So almost like I was trying to babysit the guy. I mean, I fished enough tournaments to know when somebody is full of it and when somebody's not. I can decipher the BS real quick. So he would not budge. And so ultimately, when you can't agree, you have to flip a coin to see what boat you have to take. And of course, I lost the coin flip, which I always did. Anytime we flipped, I lost the coin flip every time. So we got to take this guy's Ranger. Okay. So the next day we get out there, and the wind's blowing like a mother. It's blowing like, 25 or 30 miles an hour. We run out there to the middle of the lake in Ross Barnett Lake, and it's chocolate milk out there. And he ties up to this tree in the middle of the lake and starts casting to where I guess he said this point was. Guys, we were there for 10 minutes, and he said, well, I guess they're not biting. And I'm like, you have got to be shitting me. I said, you dragged me out here in your boat to fish for 10 minutes on this spot when we knew there wasn't going to be fish here, and you're done? I was freaking ready to throw that guy in the water, because I knew what was up there where I was fishing. So anyway, we spent the rest of the day just farting around. Fishing was tough, and I wound up catching 1 2-pounder, and I don't think he caught anything. And I was just livid about this. So anyway, the next day I draw this guy out. He hadn't caught anything. I explained to him the deal. I got the spot, got the jet boat. So anyway, get out there. We run up to where and after the first day, I'm in like 130th place or something with 2 pounds. So we run up there to my water, get back in there, and just like in practice, guys, they were biting like crazy. And I caught the biggest stringer of the tournament that second day up there. And I moved up from 130th place something to like, 30-something place with 1 day left. Same deal. The next day, I explained to this guy, I draw my 3rd day partner, explained to this guy, we run up there, and I catch the biggest string of the tournament again the 3rd day, and wound up finishing, I can't remember, it was 3rd or 4th in the tournament. Missed winning the tournament by like a pound, and I was just livid. I went up to that guy that I drew the first day, and I go, thanks a lot, dude. I said, you just cost me winning this tournament by a lot. I said, just because of your ego. I'd never been so mad in my life. And I'm not saying that to that guy because I thought that, you know, I was better than he was, or that, you know, I was trying to enforce my will. It was the reality of the situation. It's like when you explain to somebody what you got going, and the fact that you have got, in that was such a unique situation that I had to take that boat. It was a prime example of like somebody's ego, you know, just screwing everything up. And guys, that whole pro on pro deal, that was just one time. That happened all the time. You'd always draw some guy that overestimated what they got. And it's like, back then, it's like, there's so many guys out there, when they drew somebody that was well known, it's almost like they wanted to I don't know, insert their dominance over it based upon the rules that you get half the day and you can flip a coin over boat. And I saw so many examples out there about guys that were not on anything. They didn't have a clue what was going on, but by God, they wanted to take their boat. They didn't care. It didn't matter if they had any fish at all. They were going to take their boat, and they were going to, whatever reason they did it. So be thankful. All you guys that are tournament fishermen now that don't have to fish pro on pro, be thankful that you don't have to do that. Or I'll say, let me rephrase that, boater on boater, because this guy I fished with, there was no pro, believe me. And it was, you know, it was just a terrible format. So I'm really glad that everything was changed with that. So anyway, guys, that was just one of those stories, one of the many that's out there. I'll keep them coming, and we'll check in later. See y'all.